Hey team, and welcome to the video version of the Funnily Enough podcast. This is where you get the raw, unedited version of the interviews that we do on the show. If you're more of an audio person, then head over to Apple Podcasts or any of the platforms that you like that supports podcasting, and you can listen to the fully edited thing there with intros, outros, and all the fun little jingles. However, if you're more of a video person, then that is coming right up. Janet Murray, welcome to the show. It is a pleasure to have you here. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Yeah, it's Friday afternoon, and we were just talking about whether you actually wind down. You are winding down this weekend, aren't you?
This weekend, I am very much winding down. Yes,
Mm.
I think there will be beer involved tonight and then heading off on holiday for the next couple of weeks. So, very excited for that.
Very nice.
Are you
Very
winding down? Not winding down?
Not really, no, because I'm just back from holiday, and when I come back
Yeah.
from holiday, I'm always like a bit manic because when I switch off and don't work for a week or two, I just get loads of ideas. So I come back from holiday and I work manically afterwards, and I'm kind of in that manic phase at the moment.
That's so funny. I actually want to pick up on that in just a second, but I need to ask you a serious question first, which
Okay.
is there's a rumor going around that you know all the words to every Beatles song.
Where did you hear this rumor?
Well, I was going to ask you, can you give us a rendition of Yellow Submarine? But this was, as with every guest, I like to do some Uber stalking, and I
Right.
found it on your old website, I believe. Is it true?
Did you ever go on the Wayback Machine? I would say there's a good chance that I know the words to most Beatles songs, but now you're going to put me on the spot.
I won't test you. I won't test you. Don't worry.
Yeah, no, it's true. I was born in Liverpool, and my parents played Beatles music at home all the time, along with like Elvis, and that's why I'm probably the only like 40-odd-year-old that likes Elvis and Buddy Holly and Frankie Valli and things like that. But yeah, so I was played Beatles songs at home ad nauseum. So yeah, I
So did
reckon.
you with your parents playing them? Did you love the Beatles, or was it like that? Oh my god, the parents are playing it again.
No, I love the
Yeah.
Beatles, and my favourite song is "Let It Be." It's my favourite song.
Nice.
I think I've probably been spotted playing it on Instagram stories because I play
Yeah.
it all the time. I may well have been done that, and yeah, no, I love the Beatles. Yeah,
Great.
yeah, it
Me
wasn't
too.
full for me.
I'm a big fan of the Beatles. I think my favorite song's probably Twist and Shout.
Just to shout, that is a
Yeah, yeah, it
um,
gets
good
gets the blood
choice.
pumping. Amazing, cool. Well, let's actually talk about you
Yeah.
coming back from your holiday then, because I did have a question, which was everything you do, from my perspective, seems to just be so well coordinated. So you've got physical products, you've got events, you've got memberships, courses, your marketing's awesome, you're creating content, you've got your podcast. I feel like you do so much, but it all from the outside looking in, it just looks so coordinated. So how how are you able to do that? Is it, well, first of all, maybe I should ask, is it as coordinated? And if it is, how do you manage to do that? So when you're coming back from your holiday and it's back into work time, how are you like practically taking those ideas and making them happen?
I'm probably the most very organised at all, actually, and that's
I think you just cut off there. What was that first thing you just said?
I'm probably the most disorganized person in the world.
Oh, really?
And that's probably one of the things that led me to create a media diary. So I've got this A4 desk diary with key dates and awareness days in it. And as a journalist, for like best part of 20 years, I had to do everything on the last minute. I mean, you can't survive as a journalist if you can't do things quickly and do them at the last minute and hold your nerve. So I've got a little bit better at doing things further ahead, but my natural impulse is to do everything on the last minute, is to do everything quickly, like my brain works at like 1,000,000 miles an hour. So though it kind of looks, I mean, certain things like my podcast, for example, like it's a kind of finely oiled machine where, you know, we have a process that we go through and there's other people involved that take it from the recording to the publication. But it works because I've got deadlines from other people, and I know that if I don't make them, they get annoyed with me. But I'm not like the easiest person to work with because I have all these ideas and then I want to do it really quickly, and yeah, so
How does that work then? So with your podcasts and all your different products and things, have you managed to build a team around everything you do to help you with that? And is that with that team, is that specified people, or have you got like less people that are able to do a wide spectrum of things? How have you been able to build a system that means that you are accountable to other people? Because I think that's a really interesting point, because I know a lot of people, like especially me, when I've hired video people before, I've set it up so I'm accountable to them, because I know if I'm accountable to someone else, I won't let them down. But if
yeah.
it's me, I'll just delay and delay and delay.
Yeah, I mean, I hire people for the role rather than for the job, and I've got people that sort of grown with me, and I think I tend to hire in my team. I've got so they're all kind of contractors, but I've got Jo who works really closely with me, and she's a finisher. So she's a finisher. She's attention to detail, and she nags me about getting things finished and getting them done. And she's not so interested in the content, she's just interested in getting it done, getting it finished. She will give me a hard time if I don't like, and she'll chase and chase and chase me, which is good. And I work closely with my designer Tracy, who's as bad as me. We're probably as bad as each other. And then Lisa, who organises my event, she's obviously really organised. And so I think it's a combination of just having people, like I'm a starter and I'm not a finisher. I get quite bored with things like halfway through. So having people around you that will sort of go, hang on a minute, you said you were going to do that, or you said you haven't finished that and now you're moving on to something else. Sometimes I will ask Jo in my team if I will say like, okay, if I say that I'm going to start something new, can you please stop me and tell me that I said that I wasn't going to do that. So yeah, I think it's kind of about, I feel like I've got somebody missing in my team. Like I think there's probably kind of another role that I haven't got at the moment, another sort of type of personality that I could probably do with. But I suppose it's kind of hiring people. I've just realised that, you know, I can try and be as organised as possible and I can try and be something that I'm not, but actually it's probably better for me to focus on doing the things that I'm really good at and then just outsource the things that I'm not good at to people who are good at it and they like it, because, you know, that seems to be the best way to use my time.
Yeah, totally. And I think that's so interesting, the whole idea of you being a starter and maybe getting bored, because I feel like that's a very entrepreneurial, inverted commas, trait of,
Yeah.
we like to start things and like coming up with ideas, but then actually progressing and finishing those things, sometimes less so. Like we quite easily get bored, or certainly I'm speaking from my perspective. I love planning and coming up with ideas and making things start and being like, right, let's get this going. And then sometimes I just get a little bit bored as they go about. So I want to talk about that kind of trait then, and entrepreneurial, whatever you want to call it, mindset style. Because I was looking through your old website, janmurray.co.uk,
Oh God.
and that was fun. And it's fair to say, taking a look at that website versus your current website, there's been a really big journey for you in going from being a journalist to doing what you do now, which is coaching people and helping business owners in a wide variety of different ways. So, what do you think you've taken into your business now that you learn as being a freelance journalist? So what's maybe one or two things that you really learned from a journalism point of view, being freelance journalism, that has really helped you doing what you do now?
Two really, really important things. So I was a freelance. So I learned from early on that if I wanted to pay my bills, I had to pitch myself and I had to pitch for work, and I couldn't sit at home waiting for people to contact me. So that stood me really in good stead. Although obviously I do content marketing now, which is about attracting people towards you and, you know, putting out really great content, attracting people towards you. I started out basically having to pitch, and if I didn't do my research, if I wanted to write for a particular newspaper or a magazine, I needed to research it really thoroughly. I needed to work out what it was they were looking for and try and nail it first time. And when, and I got good at it, because when your mortgage being paid relies on that, I got good at it. I got good at networking. I realized I needed to be connected with the right people. And I also realized really early on that specializing was important as a journalist, and that's obviously transferred to business. So I realized that I started off like writing for anybody and anything who would pay me, and anything or anyone that would pay me. And then I quickly realized that if I had a specialism, then I would be in demand. And so I specialised in education and politics. And it actually wasn't what I wanted to do to start off with, because I was a teacher and I did not want to do that at all. But I realised that people would pay me money for that specialism. It was easier as well, because I had to keep up with all of the news and the politics and stuff. And it was much easier to keep up with it in one quite specific area and know all the policies and all the politicians and all that kind of stuff. It's much easier. And so that was really important, like just understanding, like, I remember somebody saying to me really early on, look for work when you're busy, and that's always stuck with me. And I always think about that now. I'm always thinking about, in terms of my funnel, I'm always thinking, well, yeah, I might be busy now and things are great now, but what about 6 months down the line, 12 months down the line? So I've got that from it. But the other thing, which is probably the most important thing, which is about, as a journalist, I understood what made great content. And what makes great content is not about what you're interested in. It's about what readers are interested in. And I think I just, even though I was writing about education and politics, I just instinctively, I just kind of know what people are going to be interested or not going to be interested in. And as a journalist, you don't write anything unless you can answer this question, like why do people need to hear about this? But this is the crucial bit. Why do people need to hear about it now? And I wouldn't write anything as an editor. I wouldn't commission anything unless I could answer that question. So people like pitching me all the time, like wanting me to commission them to write things, or wanting me to like pick up their stories or whatever. And that was the key question. And so whenever I'm creating content now for social media, for my podcast, like any content for an event, any content that I create, it's not about me, it's about my audience. But also, why would people want to hear about it now? And so I've just got this sense of what makes great content, and that luckily underpins everything that I do. And they're probably the two things that have been really transferable for me.
That's so interesting. So you still ask yourself the same question: why do people need to hear about this now when you're publishing something? I love that, because when I created the Scottish-based content, the question I asked myself, which is actually very similar, was, would someone that doesn't know who I am share this?
Yeah.
And I think we can all ask these questions when we're creating something, because I think there's a big tendency to write about ourselves and the accolades and the awards and all the great things seemingly that we do. But does the audience care? And does the audience need to hear about this now? That's a big filter to put in front of anything.
The other question I ask myself all the time now, which probably comes from that, is how can I make this about them? So it just picks up on what you were saying. So if I'm speaking at an event or I've won an award, awards are classic question all the time. Like, I've won an award, like how can I make the most of it? Like, you can't make the most of it because nobody cares that much. But so when I'm speaking at an event, there's a classic example. So I was speaking at oh God, what was the name of the big event in Boston? I've forgotten about it. Inbound. So I was speaking at Inbound in Boston last year, and I wanted to let people know that I was speaking at this, quite prestigious event. But I knew if I just posted on social media, I'm speaking at Inbound, everyone would be like, yeah, whatever. So how can I make this about other people? Okay, well, people often ask me, how do you put a talk together? Like what's the process that you go through? So I created a little film of me creating my talk. I shared some tips on how I put talk together. So I made the fact that I was speaking at this event about my audience, about the people that follow me. I did something similar recently where I wanted to announce the sponsors for my live event that you spoke at, Build Your Audience Live. And I thought, if I just go, hey, I've got these people sponsoring me, like nobody's going to be slightly bit interested. But how about I create a little video where I just say, here's how I got these people to sponsor me, because that's what people want to know. Like, I got people to pay me thousands of pounds to sponsor my event. How did I do that? So how can I make it about them? So it's about kind of creating that win-win situation with your content. So that's another question I ask myself all the time. Like anything I'm doing, if I think, oh, if I post this, I'm going to get a bit of like, meh. How do you say that? I don't know. But, but if I think it's going to, I think, okay, how can I take this content and make it about them? And it's like a winner every time.
It's just a slight change in perspective, isn't it? But makes, or you can see why it would make such a big difference.
Mm.
Amazing. Janet, I'm going to interrupt proceedings because it's time to play a game. And that game is the 5-second rule. Have you ever played it before? Heard of it before?
Isn't it something to do with dropping food on the floor or something? Was that the 8-second rule?
It's not, although that would be fun. I could maybe like ask you to buy different pieces of food. No, don't know how that would work over podcast. No, the rules are simple. I've got cards here, and on each card there are different statements. I don't know what they are, and I'm going to read them out. It might be things like name 3 types of vegetable or 3 boys' names, and you have 5 seconds after I read the statement to give me your answer. If you get it right, you get a point. If you don't get a point. And I don't know how competitive you are, but you're competing against all the other guests. So this question isn't part of the scoring. Do you want to go red cards or yellow cards? Yellow's slightly harder.
Red, please.
Let's go red, safe. Okay, are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's do this. Name 3 makes of cars.
Audi, Ford, and oh my God, Nissan.
Good start. Within 3 seconds. Name 3 things you might drink out of.
Cup, mug, glass.
Very good start. Name 3 certificates.
Insurance. I don't know. Insurance.
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Name 3 counties south of Birmingham.
Oh my Lord. Oh God, I don't know.
I wouldn't have a clue.
Ayrshire. Is that a county?
I have no idea. Let's test your film knowledge. Name 3 movies playing in cinemas right now.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Time's up.
Toy Story.
That's a tough one as well. Name 3 famous Welsh people.
God. Will Carling, is he Welsh? I don't know why I thought of him.
Time's up. Okay. Name 3 places with a swimming pool.
Hotel, sports club, and park.
Yeah. Name 3 newborn baby gifts.
Rattle, bear, and play suit.
Yep. Nice. God, this is a tough one. Oh, here we go. Name 3 tiny things.
Thimble, pin, earring.
Nice. And final one. Name 3 storybook characters.
Rapunzel, Little Red Riding Cinderella.
Oh, just in time. You got it. Let's check the scores. 1, 2, 3, 4. Which means, Janet, you got 6 out of 10. Which I think that's respectable.
Respectable.
I think that's a respectable score.
I'm not interested in respectable. I'm only interested in high achieving.
Oh, we're competitive. We've got some competitive there. I feel like the 5-second rule is a very good way to get to know someone very fast. Like if I play that game, it gets competitive.
Yeah.
There's been many of arguments playing that game, but okay, great. Janet, you've obviously been a journalist, but you've obviously been a teacher as well. I wanted to dive into this a little bit because you obviously do a lot of teaching now, but right now the teaching that you do is to adults, whereas before it would have been to kids. And I'm fascinated by the psychology of learning and also the psychology of teaching and communication. So are there any parallels or in teaching kids and teaching adults? And plus, when you're teaching adults now, are there any lessons that you took from your time as a teacher that you still use to this day?
Really good question. So the first thing is you learn at Teacher Training College is about learning styles. It's one of the the first things that you learn. So if you follow me on social media, you probably see me banging out on about putting captions on videos, and I always say, like, don't put anything out on social media unless you put captions on it, because we all, well, not only from a kind of like equality kind of point of view, but also because most people are watching with the sound down. But that also comes back from my teaching days, because they banged into us that everybody's got different learning styles, and I would sort of take that a step further. So we've all got different learning styles. Some of us like to watch, some of us like to listen, some of us like to do, some of us like to see visuals and things, but also I think we have different learning styles at different times. So I used to hate it when they used to say, oh, like everybody's got, you know, a sort of preferred learning style. Actually, that's not true. Like if I want to learn a Beatles song off the have the Beatles song on the piano, I will use a YouTube video to do that, because I need to see it, I need to hear it, and I find that the quickest way to do it, rather than say reading music, although I can read music. But if I want to like learn about digital marketing, I like to listen to podcasts, and other times I like to do it, or I like to. So I think that's the most important thing. So I'm a big fan of repurposing, but I'm also like always thinking about like how everyone's different, and how I'm trying to, when I'm creating a resource, I'm trying not to just kind of create it in one way or one format. And it's really hard, because like there's only so much time in the day, but I'm very conscious of that. The other thing I'm really conscious of is to try and treat people as individuals, which can be really hard when you've got a membership, because people are so different. Like if I go to, or like you spoke at my event recently, one of the things that kind of drives me mad, but I still do it anyway, is that if I book to go to an event, I will literally just book to get the ticket, and then the day before have a look, oh, where is it, or whatever, and I'll just like rock up. I don't need anybody to give me detailed instructions. I don't need anybody to kind of like hold my hand or call me up or whatever. I'm quite capable of checking it out for myself, and I'll take responsibility. If I'm late, if I get it wrong, I will take responsibility. But what I've learned, particularly because I run a membership community, and this is a bit like kids, is that some people, they just need all of the details. Like they need to have it like spelled out for them step by step. They get quite anxious if they don't have everything set out for them, and some people can't, you know, find it difficult to take responsibility, so they can't say, well, actually it was my fault because I was late because I didn't check the instructions. So that's given me lots of things to think about. So like when somebody joins my membership, like now I have a fair play agreement where I think about all the basically all the things people could complain about, and all the things that people could, and all the expected behaviours that you want from people. Again, I kind of got that from teaching kids. It's like you can't really tell somebody off or blame somebody for doing something if you didn't tell them it wasn't okay. Yes. So I try as much as possible to kind of be really upfront about, this is what's okay, this is what isn't okay, this is what's going to happen if you break this rule or whatever. And I sort of accept, even though it can be frustrating at times, that we're all different. Mm-hmm. So when I run an event, we give people a lot of information, we give them a lot of reminders, we you know, because some people need that, and even for some people that's still not enough. But I think it was kind of really accepting that everybody's kind of different, and as much as we can, we have to try and kind of cater for that difference, but at the same time being really clear with your expectations. So, you know, when people do an online course with me or a program, and I'm getting better and better at this the more I do it, I'm just trying to really set out, this is what's expected. Like if you do the work, you'll get results. If you don't do the work, you won't get the results. And I think that's probably come from that background.
I like that, the setting of expectations, especially, I mean, I've always thought of and known the importance of that maybe from an agency perspective where you're doing services for clients, but never really thought about it from an educational point of view as well, in the form of a membership or even a live event, just telling people, look, this is, I mean, what's it look like? Is it like we're going to do our best and it's not acceptable to complain, or what does that actually look like?
Even in my membership, they have this thing called a fair play agreement, which is fairly new, but I've been kind of working up to it for a while. And it basically says, like, these are the hours that I'm available, so that people know, like, it's not acceptable to send me a Facebook message to my personal Facebook at 9 p.m. on a Saturday night complaining about being locked out. Like, actually, we can pick that up on Monday. So it's saying, look, these are the hours I work, these are the hours that my team work. If I'm around and it suits me, I will respond to your message, but that's not to be expected. So that kind of thing, just setting boundaries, and so if people understand what to expect, then they're not going to be disappointed or angry or whatever. Down to like what's included and what isn't included, because I find a lot of people don't actually read stuff. So being really clear on, if you want people to, you know, to kind of be successful. But for me, it's also about telling people that it's their responsibility. So when I first started running memberships, for example, doing online courses, you'd get people coming back and saying, well, this is terrible, this course is no good. I was like, well, have you done any of the modules? Have you actually done anything? No. But now I make it really clear and say, look, this is your responsibility. Like, I've given you all the stuff here. Like, if you don't do the work, it's your responsibility. So you're almost like tackling people's objections, if you like, or almost like, I think it's almost like putting the elephant in the room. And the other thing is, I've had to put it by, is it be kind and be nice, because just because somebody's paying you money doesn't give them the right to be rude, or doesn't give them the right to be, if they're locked out of the site on a Saturday night, for them to kind of harass all of your team, like, across social media. They just have to wait. And being really clear, if somebody's rude, or they're not pleasant, or they're doing something they shouldn't do, what will happen to them. So it is that, it does always come back to that thing about, maybe it is dealing with teenagers or something like that, but the other thing I learned as well is that everybody just wants to matter. So when I was teaching teenagers, I found it really easiest at the start, because I was teaching teenagers, mixed. But then when I moved to boys' school, oh my god, it was a nightmare. I was about 25 and had all these like testosterone fueled like boys, and I found it really difficult to kind of keep them all in line, because they were naughty and loud and whatever. And so I did all this reading at the time. I remember like going to teach at this boys' school and just thinking, I'm crap at this. Like, I thought I was really good at this, and now I'm absolutely crap. And that for me was about taking responsibility as well. It's like, I could complain that these boys were naughty, or I could try and work out how to connect with them. And I'm not saying I got brilliant at it, but I got a lot better. So I just went and read some books about boys and about teenage boys and how to connect with them. And what I kind of realized is that all most people want is to kind of be noticed and to feel like you care about them. So like in the case when I was in the classroom with these boys, it's just like, saying, hi Gavin, like, how are you today? How did the football game go at the weekend, or whatever it might be. And just, it's really hard when you're in your school. It's the same as having a membership community, but I think a lot of the time people just want to know that when you're teaching, remembering kids' names, it's like, that's the key to most of the time to keeping them all in check. It's just learning names quickly.
Interesting.
Names. But most people just want to matter. So when you're doing something like running a membership community or teaching people online, it's really hard. But the more that you can try and personalize it, and the more, like, I still send like little voicemails sometimes to my members, or people who connect with me, like who listen to my podcast and things like that. And although it can be really hard because it's time consuming, I think most of us just want to feel like we matter and that people care about us. And I'm not saying I get it right all the time at all. Like, sometimes I get it wrong, but that's something that I learned from dealing with kids, is that, everyone just wants to feel like, half the time when kids are acting up, it's because they just want you to care and they just want you to notice them. And I think we're all like that. We're all kids trapped in adult bodies. And so a lot of the time I'm just channeling that, really, if that kind of makes sense.
No, 100%. Like, I find that so fascinating. Like, I'm not a parent and I don't want to be. I don't plan to be one in the near future. But I find the psychology of teaching children and parenting really, really interesting. And what you say there is so true about people mattering. Like, reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, it gives the example of, like, when you look at your school photo picture, or there's a picture on Facebook of a conference, who do you look for? You look for your picture, or like your face, straight away, because you want to see you. And you know that when people know your name and call your name out, like, because at the end of the day, it makes us feel like we matter. And I think that's a really good point for any of us anywhere that are putting any type of content out there in the world, or building or harvesting any kind of audience. Great. Janet, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you for the last 28 minutes. Thank you so much for coming on and spending the time. Tell everyone where they can find more about you, what you do, what you get up to.
So the best place to find me is over at my website. It's janetmurray.co.uk. It's being redesigned at the moment. Hopefully it will be all spangly and new by the time this episode goes live. But also on social media. So I'm everywhere on social media. Janet Murray, just search me up and come and say hi. I might even send you a voicemail back.
Go check out Janet's content. I particularly love the just, in fact, what I'm going to say is go check out Janet's content and watch what she does, because the type of content that she posts is really smart in getting engagement, but also starting communication and relationships and conversations with her audience. So Janet, thank you so much for coming on the show. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Hey team, me again, and I just wanted to say thank you so much for watching the video version of the podcast. And I hope you took something away from that. Maybe a smile, maybe something of inspiration, or maybe an idea came to your mind. Be sure to drop me a comment and let me know what that thing was for you. Now, if you want to listen to more or watch more episodes of the podcast, you can do that here on YouTube or Facebook, or head over to Apple Podcasts or the podcasting platform of your choice. Just be sure to hit subscribe, leave us a little review and a 5-star rating, and I will love you forever. See you in the next episode.